5-minute tax guides from your 5-minute tax guy. Where do I get tax help? One of the biggest problems that individuals have at tax time each year is finding out where they can go to get answers to their tax questions. On the next screen, you'll see some common questions asked by taxpayers. These are some common questions that taxpayers ask. In this video, we'll cover the topic, what is self-employment tax and why do I have to pay it? Did you decide to drive for Uber last year or Lyft? Or did you engage in some other self-employment activity for the first time? If so, it is very likely that you are an independent contractor or are otherwise self-employed. What Uber and Lyft and many other companies who utilize independent contractors don't tell you when you start working with them is that you will be required to pay self-employment tax on your net self-employment earnings. If you were self-employed during the tax year and you didn't know about self-employment tax, it's very likely that you also didn't know about estimated tax payments. Well, set your mind at ease, brother, because the 5-minute tax guy is here to preach both self-employment tax and estimated tax payments to you. First, I have to make sure that you know about FICA and Medicare tax. You do know about FICA and Medicare tax, right? Well, simply put, FICA tax is a Social Security tax that is withheld from your paycheck each payday that supposedly is going towards funding your retirement. And if you're old and decrepit like the 5-minute tax guy, then you very well might see those retirement benefits when you retire. Medicare tax is the amount withheld from your wages that goes toward funding the Medicare program, which I'm quite sure is very secure and will be there for you when you reach age 65. Snicker, snicker. Social Security, or FICA tax, is currently withheld from your wages at the rate of 6.2% of your FICA taxable wages up to a maximum wage amount. In 2019, the maximum wage base for FICA tax is $132,900. This means that the maximum amount of FICA tax that can be withheld from your wages in 2019 is $8,239.80, or $132,900 times 6.2%. Medicare tax is withheld at a rate of 1.45% with no maximum. Not only is the employee, or you, taxed at these rates, but the employer is also taxed at these same rates. So the U.S. government is collecting for each employee 12.4% of wages for FICA tax and 2.9% for Medicare tax. Now that you have a firm, unshakable grasp on FICA and Medicare tax, we can move on to self-employment tax. When you are self-employed, you are essentially your own employer. Or to put it another way, you are both the employee and employer. It might make you feel like you have a dual personality.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Now that you're two people, instead of the combined rate of 7.65% of your wages that you pay as an employee, you get to pay 15.3% of your net self-employment earnings as a self-employed individual. This does not take into account the small break you get when computing your self-employment tax on Schedule SE, nor does it take into account the fact that you get to deduct from your gross wages 1/2 of your computed self-employment tax as an adjustment to income. But it's still a big chunk of your earnings. And keep in mind that this is in addition to the income tax that you will also owe on your net self-employment earnings. On the right is a Schedule SE, which is used to calculate self-employment tax. If you had $53,500 in self-employment net earnings, here is how your self-employment tax would be calculated, assuming that your self-employment earnings and your employment income did not exceed the FICA base. So how does independent contractor earnings compare to employee earnings as it relates to tax owed? Let's look at the example in the previous screen. Without going through a long explanation of the calculation, you can see that a self-employed individual is going to pay $1,728 more than an employee on the same earnings. still think it's a good idea to take that side gig? If your answer to this question is yes, then make sure that you are putting away a little bit each month to pay the taxes that you will owe at tax time. And speaking of what you're going to owe at tax time, don't forget that as an employee, your employer is likely withholding income tax on your earnings each pay period, and this income tax withholding will go towards paying your tax liability when you file your tax return for the year. Not so when you're an independent contractor. The company that you are working for, whether that be Uber, Lyft, or any other company that employs you as an independent contractor, as opposed to an employee, will not withhold income tax from your checks. And because the U.S. income tax system is a pay-as-you-go system, you're required to pay enough to the IRS each quarter to cover your taxable income for that quarter. That is where estimated tax payments come in. As a self-employed taxpayer, you must make estimated payments each quarter of the year to cover your income for that quarter. Since I'm already past my 5-minute limit, well, it's really more of a guideline than a rule. That will have to be covered in another video.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
You can refer to IRS Publication 334 for more details about self-employment and small businesses. That's it for this session, and thanks for watching the video. Be sure to click the subscribe button on the next screen to keep informed on upcoming tax changes. For more great 5-minute tax guides, check out the other videos in my 5-minute tax guide video series. See the list in the description below this video.